Delighted to be joined by Ben Davison. Ben, it's been a whirlwind few weeks or months. You've been out in the States training. I know Josh has been out there with you. What's it been like and how is everything?
Yeah, everything's all good. Got Josh, obviously the fight got put back because of Josh's knee injury. So he got some good rehab work over in Vegas. Got a good baseline of conditioning. And we'll carry on to do so. Be carrying on getting some work on the knee, make sure it's 100%, and continue preparing for the fight, which has now been announced today.
We're back in business on British soil. How has Josh been looking in the gym, and what caused that knee injury?
Don't really know. I think there was a few tears somewhere along the knee that caused him an issue that I don't think he actually knew about. But like I say, he's been getting some good rehab work. Josh is always, it doesn't take him long to get himself conditioned. So everything's all good, exactly where he should be, and be ready to perform 100% come fight night.
He said recently that he just started doing light running. You're doing a lot of sort of groundwork, boxing work. How many weeks is he going to have full of fitness before this fight?
Depends on the rehab, so we'll have to see how that goes. But I myself will work alongside Dan Lawrence, Josh's strength and conditioning coach, and we'll come up with a few different modalities to make sure that even if he can't run or during the period of camp that he can't run, he'll have some other modalities to use to make sure that he's fully fit come fight night.
A few weeks back we spoke to Jack and he said he was confident of causing an upset. How are you preparing for Josh for Jack's power, defence and speed?
They're physical attributes, He's not the biggest puncher Josh would have been in the ring with. He's not the quickest puncher Josh would have been in the ring with. He's not the most intelligent fighter Josh would have been in the ring with. But we're preparing for him as though he's the greatest fighter that's ever stepped foot on the planet. Because everything that Josh has worked so hard for is up in the air come fight night. So we'll make sure that Josh is at 100% with full respect, humble in preparation, respectful of Jack's skills in preparation, to make sure that Josh comes out with a victory.
Recent form would suggest both fighters are comfortable going the distance. How do you see this one playing out? Are you preparing Josh for a long fight, or are you looking for a short-term stoppage?
I believe that Josh will stop Jack. However that stoppage comes, whether the reality is the more Jack comes to win, the more chance of that stoppage, I believe. And if he ends up looking to survive, it's our job to make sure that Josh knows and is smart in the way that he gradually breaks him down.
Just moving away from this fight briefly, you spent a lot of time over the pond with Devin Haney. How's that relationship looking long term?
Yeah, very good. We had a debrief after the fight, and that's something that I love about Devin, is that he's got the right mindset. I knew that the moment that final bell came on Saturday night, while it was a wide points victory and a solid enough performance, I knew instantly he wasn't happy with that performance, and he's very critical of himself. But Josh is similar. Josh is the same, and that's the type of mentality you've got to have to keep making those improvements to be at the level that these guys are at.
We saw Devin beat Jojo. We saw him talking to George Kambosos. Is there any news on that? Where it can be, when it can be?
I think that it's looking most likely that's the fight that will happen. But where it will happen, I suppose, depends on what makes the most money, where makes the most money. Broadcasters, it's promoters, etc., etc. Look, the goal is we've got an undisputed. Everybody knows there's only one man at 140. That's the goal. Everybody complains about there's too many belts, there's too many this, too many that. Well, there's an opportunity here to solidify who the man is at 135, and it's not that often that fighters get opportunities to be involved in undisputed fights. So I think it's smart that for both guys that they take this opportunity before it slides by them. So yeah, I think that'll be the fight that's most likely to happen next.
Any idea where it would be? Sydney?
Yeah, there's obviously talk of Australia, but you can't rule out the US. The power of the US market is phenomenal, unrivaled. So we'll have to see, but that's the promoter's job and the broadcaster's job. And wherever it is, again, we'll make sure the fight is 100% for it.
I just want to talk to you a little bit about your friend Tyson Fury. What do you know about this whole step aside fiasco with AJ? Should AJ step aside?
I think it depends. If there's enough money on the table and he's guaranteed to fight the winner, then why would you not? It just becomes a question of, do you have a fight in between? Do you just continue preparing for either one of those guys and use the time for preparation with a direct purpose on one of the two guys? But it's entirely up to him and his team. We'll have to see.
I heard you talk about Tommy Fury, Jake Paul before. Can I just get a word on that? What you thought of the whole event and the outcome as in it's been called off?
Yeah, well, we're talking about it now, so it's obviously generated enough interest for a fight to take place. It's too big of a payday for him to not have anything wrong with him, to not have the fight. He's not exactly fighting a killer. I've said that I've got full respect for Jake Paul and the commitment he's shown to boxing, but the reality is he's not exactly a killer. So I don't think Tommy would have pulled out the fight if there wasn't a reason to pull out. But hopefully we get to see that fight early part of 2022.
Lastly for me, I don't want to push too far ahead. Teofimo Lopez looks like to set up. There's been a lot of talk with Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez. What are your thoughts on that?
What's your thoughts on it? Do you think that fight, he just got beat by George Kambosos at 135? What do you think would have happened if he stepped in the ring with Josh Taylor that night? What do you think?
I think he'd have got beat.
You would have got stopped in devastating fashion. So, there's no... February 27th doesn't exist. Life does not exist past February 26th. That's the only focus. No fighters... Josh Taylor's name shouldn't be mentioned alongside anybody other than Jack Caterall until February 27th.